The first step to starting an online store is to get a domain name. And later in this video, I'm going to share with you all my tips on how you can get a good domain name for your store. Step 2 is to pick your shopping cart platform. And there are a ton of different shopping cart platforms out there. And I'll share with you later in this video which one of these platforms you should choose. And after you pick which online platform you're going to use to build your website, it's time to build your online store. And I'm going to explain step by step exactly how to do that. For step 4, we're going to talk about all the legal things that you're going to need to do to properly set up your business. And finally, step 5, I'll share all the secrets on how to get customers to come to your website and actually buy things from your online store. And warning, there are some major mistakes that new e-commerce store owners make that cost them thousands of dollars. And I'm going to share what those mistakes are and how you can avoid them. But if you're new to the channel, my name is Travis. I've been selling online for over 10 years. I've done over $10 million in online sales. And I'm going to share everything that you need to know on how to start your first online store in this one video. And the very first step for you to start your online business is to get a domain name. You need to get your own domain name that reflects your business. And the domain name is the website address that people are going to go to in order to get to your online store. It's the www.whateveryouwantittobe.com. And one of the most common mistakes that people make when getting a new domain name is they create a name that's hard to remember and that people don't know how to spell. You also want to make sure that your URL is not too long. This will actually make it harder for you to get people to go to your website if you have a long domain name. And there are a lot of websites that you can go to in order to buy a domain name. You can go with Namecheap, which is one of my favorites, or GoDaddy, who sometimes has a special where you can get your first domain name for just 99 cents. However, if you're going to build your website with Shopify or WooCommerce or a bunch of these other platforms, a lot of times these platforms will include a free domain name, so you may not have to purchase your domain name ahead of time. And as a bonus tip, when you're coming up with a name for your company or your website address, you want to try to include in that address, in your company name, a keyword that someone would search for in Google. Because if Google sees that you have a keyword in your website address that someone is going to Google to search for, they're more likely to rank your website higher up in the search results. And just in case you don't know, when I say keyword, I just mean things that people are searching for in Google. And this is one of the most powerful ways to get people to come to your website, is to rank your website on the top of Google, and including the keyword you want to rank for in your website address is one of the easiest ways to do it. For instance, my first passion product that I sold online was a macadamia coconut cashew blended nut butter. And so our website address was performancenutbutter.com. For instance, one of my students, AJ, sells a set of cocktail recipe flashcards. And people go to Google and search for things like cocktail recipe cards or even just cocktail cards. So we named this company Cocktail Cards, and his website address is buycocktailcards.com, meaning when people go to Google and search for cocktail cards, Google's going to see that those words appear in the domain name, and it's more likely to rank his website higher. And once you have your domain name, step 2 is to pick a shopping cart platform. And this is a really important decision because there are a lot of shopping cart platforms out there, but there are only 2 that I usually recommend to new sellers: Shopify and WooCommerce. Let's quickly go over the pros and the cons of each of these platforms, and within just a couple minutes, I'm going to tell you exactly which one you should use to start your online business. And Shopify is the most popular e-commerce platform for serious e-commerce entrepreneurs because it's very easy to use and easy for you to set up a new website. I'd say this is the most beginner-friendly way to start an online store. They have a lot of great features like free website templates and hundreds of different apps that you can get from the Shopify App Store that can add new features to your websites. For instance, there's an app that will plug into your website that makes it so that when someone comes to your website, an email capture pop-up will show on the screen, making it so you can collect emails. Another app that they have is making it so when someone buys one of your products, they can opt into a subscription model, meaning that they repeat buy your product every single month. And just about any functionality or feature you need on your website, you can go to the Shopify App Store and add an app to your website, and it'll make it so that you can have that feature and functionality on your site. And if you are looking to sign up for Shopify, I do have the hookup with Shopify. There's a link down below in the description with the best deal you can find on Shopify. It even includes a free 2-week trial that you can use to test out Shopify. You don't need a credit card. You don't need anything in order to get that free 2-week trial. Just click on the link down below in the description. And as far as cons for Shopify, I will say that Shopify is a lot more expensive than WooCommerce. So I'm going to talk about WooCommerce in just a minute, but Shopify is going to cost you around $29 a month if you purchase an entire year, or $39 a month if you want to pay month to month. WooCommerce, on the other hand, is 100% free, and it's actually the largest e-commerce platform in the world. Even though most serious e-commerce sellers use Shopify, WooCommerce is the largest platform because it is free. And one of the biggest pros with WooCommerce is it's fully customizable. With Shopify, there's certain changes that they don't allow you to make unless you're on one of their higher tiered pricing plans. But with WooCommerce, you can change whatever you want. And another pro is you fully own the website. With Shopify, on the other hand, they can kick you off if you're selling something that they don't agree with. With WooCommerce, it's your website and they won't kick you off. And WooCommerce has loads of free plugins and apps to build your perfect business. It actually has more apps and more plugins than even Shopify has. But there are a couple cons with WooCommerce. And the first one is, even though it's free, you still have to pay for hosting. You still have to pay a company to run the servers to host your website. And this is going to cost you around $2 a month if you use a company like Hostinger, which is who I recommend. And I actually have the hookup with Hostinger linked down below in the description to get you an extra 10% off. Another con with WooCommerce is they don't have support. Shopify has 24/7 support, but with WooCommerce, because it's free, you're kind of on your own. You can go to online forums to figure out if there's a problem. But for the most part, if your website breaks, you're going to be frantically trying to figure out how to fix it. So between Shopify and WooCommerce, if you're looking to make over $10,000 a month, I would sign up with Shopify because it's going to be so much easier. However, if you're not really sure how much money you're going to make and you want to just test the waters, signing up with WooCommerce is extremely inexpensive and it's still very user-friendly. I actually have some of my websites on Shopify and some of my websites on WooCommerce just to save money. Step 3 is to set up your online store. And whether you pick Shopify or WooCommerce, it's going to be very easy for you to set up your online store. Both these platforms have made it very beginner-friendly with easy drag and drop interfaces, and all you'll have to do is click on certain elements of your website and customize them. And I'm going to share some big mistakes that beginners make when setting up their website that ends up costing them thousands of dollars in just a minute. But the first thing that you really want to understand when creating your website is to understand what SEO is. SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. And when you're creating your website, you want to optimize it so that Google understands what your website is about. Because if Google doesn't understand what your website is trying to sell, it's not going to include your website in these search results. And getting to the top page of Google search results is one of the easiest ways to get people to come to your website and buy your products. I have an in-depth video about SEO that I'll put in the link down below, but the basic thing that you need to understand is you want to figure out what people are typing into Google in order to find and buy your products. As I mentioned earlier, these are the keywords, and you'll want to include these keywords in the title of your product, the title of your website, in your domain name, and really all over your website. You want to make sure you sprinkle in these keywords so that Google understands that it should rank your website at the top of the search results for these different keywords. The next big mistake that people make when building a website is they make their website really pretty, but very confusing. There's a great book called Don't Make Me Think. And the whole premise of the book is you want to make it as easy as possible for customers to purchase from you. This sounds very simple and obvious, but trust me, as an expert that's reviewed hundreds of websites, a lot of times I'll go to a website and I won't know how to actually purchase the product. And one of the easiest ways to do this is to make sure that your buy button is above the fold, meaning that people don't need to scroll down in order to find how to buy your product. Another way to do this is to make your buy button a different color that pops. If the color of your buy button is the same as the rest of your website, it's going to be hidden. It's going to be hard for people to buy. And you should make it so that even from the home page of your website, people can go and purchase your products in as few clicks as possible. The more time someone needs to click and move their mouse in order to buy your products, the less likely they're going to buy your product. You want to make sure your website passes the grandma test. Could you put your grandma in front of your website and could she be able to figure out how to buy your product? If the answer is no, you need to fix that. Take a look at your favorite online stores and see what they have in common. What features and functionality do they use in order to make it so people are most likely to buy their products? Step 4, let's talk about how to make your business legal in the eyes of the government. And everyone gets hung up on this. They think it's really hard to start an online business, and it's not at all. I'm gonna break it down and make it extremely simple for you. The first thing you're gonna do is file for an EIN, which is 100% free and simple to do. An EIN stands for Employer Identification Number. This is basically like a social security number for your business. You'll go to irs.gov, click on this link, and you'll fill out some simple forms, and within 10 minutes, you're gonna have your EIN number. After that, you're gonna wanna file for your state's reseller permit. This is also free to get, and this is how you're gonna be able to pay state sales tax. And some states don't have sales tax, so if you live in one of those states, you don't need to worry about this step. And the last major step is to create a business entity. And there are two main types that I would recommend. There is an LLC and a DBA. LLC stands for Limited Liability Company. And this will provide you and your business legal protection, meaning if someone sues your business, they can't come after your personal assets. They're two separate entities. And I recommend you get an LLC if you're selling a product where there is a chance that someone might come after you and sue you. For instance, if you're selling a consumable product, I always recommend going with an LLC. Now, the problem with an LLC is it's actually more expensive than a DBA. In California, an LLC is going to cost you $800 every single year. Now, most states are cheaper than that. You can get an LLC in Wyoming for around $250. And if you are overseas looking to sell in the United States, I'd recommend getting an LLC from a state like Wyoming. On the other hand, a DBA stands for Doing Business As. And a DBA does not provide you with any legal protection, meaning if someone sues your business, they can come after your personal assets as well. But a DBA is a lot less expensive to start. It's only going to cost you around $99 and your DBA will last for around 5 years. And the benefit of starting an LLC or a DBA is this is going to allow you to open up a business bank account, and it's going to make it so that other businesses take you more seriously because your business isn't just your name. A DBA also makes it so that businesses can write you checks and not write it to your name, but instead write it to your business name. So if your name is John Doe, for instance, instead of them writing the check to John Doe, they could write it to whatever your business name is. For instance, Passion Products Unlimited. Another legal thing that you could consider is getting a trademark or a patent for your product. And you don't really need either one of these to get started. A trademark's going to cost you at least $250. And all this really does is stop people from using your logo or your name. But even if you do get a trademark and someone does use your name, you have to ask yourself, are you willing to hire a lawyer to sue them? And if it's a smaller business, don't worry about getting a trademark. Same thing with a patent. I would recommend, if you have a unique idea, to at least get what's called a provisional patent, which is going to cost you $75, and you can fill out the paperwork yourself. This allows it so that no one can steal your idea for at least a year. But eventually you are going to have to get a legitimate patent if you want to keep that legal protection. And usually if you hire a lawyer to help you file your patent, it's going to cost you around $10,000. Now it's time to talk about the fun part and the most often overlooked and important thing to starting an online store. And that's getting customers to actually come to your website. And I'm going to quickly share with you 10 ways that you can get customers to come to your website, because a lot of people think that starting an online store is all about building the website. If you build it, they will come. And that's not true. The hardest part about making money online is getting people to actually come to your website and trust that your website is a legitimate place that they can purchase products. The first way that we've talked about to get people to come to your online store is using SEO. Still, one of the number one ways that people find new businesses, find new products, is by searching it on Google or Bing. And if you know how to properly optimize your website to get to the top of search results, you're going to get free traffic. The next way that you can get people to come to your website is to do what's called content marketing, which is where you create really unique and interesting content. You can create articles on your website, and those articles would rank on the top of Google if they're a good article. But you could also do things like podcasts or create YouTube videos where you talk about your products, you talk about the benefits of your products, you talk about your product versus the competitors. You're creating content that people want to consume, and in that content, you're going to be talking about why they should buy your products. And the cool thing about this way of advertising is it's 100% free. Another option is you can use what's called PR, which stands for public relations. And you can use this in order to get into newspapers, magazines, get on radio shows, podcasts. Basically, you want to be a guest or be featured in different media outlets. And these days, this might cost you a little bit of money in order to get on these different platforms, but if you do it right, you can usually do this for free. You want to keep in mind when doing this and all the different marketing tools that I'm talking about, the 80-20 principle. And this is the idea that 20% of the things that you do is going to give you 80% of the results. For instance, if you appear on 100 different podcasts, there's probably about 20 of those podcasts that's going to result in 80% of the people that come to your website. So I'd really recommend trying to focus on the most popular podcasts or YouTube channels to get featured on. But another option is to create your own social media. And you could use things like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, even Snapchat. Whatever social media platform you think that your audience is on, you can create content for that social media platform. And right now, this is probably the easiest and best way to get traffic to come to your website. AJ, who I mentioned earlier with Cocktail Cards, did over $500,000 in sales in his first year. And the way he did that was by using TikTok. He joined my Amazon FBA program. He made a lot of those sales on Amazon, but he also made a lot of those sales on his own website. And so far, most of the ways that we've been talking about to get traffic to your website have been relatively free. But there are some great paid ways to get people to come to your website. In fact, this is how Google, Facebook, TikTok, and all those platforms make 99% of their money. It's people advertising on their platforms. And with Google, you can use what's called Google Ads. And there are a ton of different ways to advertise on Google. The most popular and the original way to advertise is by advertising on the Google search. If you want to get to the top of Google search these days, you got to pay to play. And you're going to have to do something called PPC, which stands for pay per click, meaning you will pay Google every time someone clicks on your ad. These are called Google Search Text Ads. However, another way to advertise your product is using Google Product Listing Ads. These show your product at the top of the search results with a price tag as well, meaning that people are only going to click on this ad if they're interested in buying your product because they realize there's no content, there's nothing for them to read. It's just a product with a price tag. And this is one of the most powerful ways to advertise your product because people, as I said, are only going to click on it when they're ready to buy. You can also do paid social media. You can do Facebook ads, YouTube ads, Instagram ads, TikTok ads, and all these different platforms have people sitting on them every single day for hours, scrolling and staring at their phone. And these platforms have a ton of data about the users. If you know that your ideal customer is between 18 and 25, female, who's single, you can target those exact people. In fact, it's crazy how niche down you can get with the targeting. These platforms even know the interest of the users. So if you wanted to target someone that's into the keto diet and is also doing hard 75, these platforms could show your ad in front of the exact right people. And related to this is number 8, and that is to use influencers. There's a ton of people that are professionally good at Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, all these different platforms. All they do all day long is post and build followers. And you can send them your product, and sometimes they'll even review your product for free. Other times, they are going to charge you a little bit of money to post about your product. In fact, influencers like Kim Kardashian will charge up to $1 million for a single post. And people will pay this money because that's how powerful influencer marketing is. I recommend if you're just starting out to go over the micro influencers, the people with 5 to 20,000 followers. Oftentimes, these people will do a free post in exchange for your product. And on top of that, you're going to get great photos and videos of your product that you can use on your website, that you can use on your own social media, that you can repurpose in a bunch of different ways. Number 9 is email marketing. In order to do this, you're going to need to build an email list. And I recommend using all the other methods we've talked about in order to get people to your website. But when you get people to your website, you should always try to collect their email. And when you get their email, you can send out emails to them, letting them know that maybe you're running a sale on your website, or maybe that there's a new color or flavor available. But number 10, and probably the best way that you can spend money on advertising is by doing what's called retargeting. And this is where when someone comes to your website, anywhere they go online, you're going to be showing your ads because you put a little cookie on their computer. And the way this works is you put a little line of code on your website, And when someone is logged into their Facebook or their Google account or their Instagram account and they come to your website, Instagram, Google, TikTok, all these different platforms know that they've been to your website and you can show them ads everywhere they go online. And the good thing about this is they've already come to your website once, they already know what your website is, they're much more likely to click on your ad and go back to your website. In fact, retargeting is the best bang for your buck because a lot of times people will come to an online website, they'll think about buying something, but they're not sure, or maybe they get interrupted. And by showing those people ads, it reminds them that your business exists and it makes it likely that they'll click on your ad and finally buy your product. And now let me share with you one of the biggest mistakes that new e-commerce store owners make, which is they only sell their product on their own website. For instance, with my first passion product, PNB, I did around $50,000 in sales on my Shopify website, but I also launched this product on Amazon and I did over $1.3 million. And I do think that you should start your own online store, but I also think that you should sell your product on Amazon because Amazon has over 200 million Prime customers. They have over 2.4 billion people going to their website every single month. And 43% of all Amazon sellers are making over $100,000 per year. And the reason for this is when people go to a Shopify website, they don't know if they can trust the website. And the average Shopify website has about a 1.8% conversion rate, meaning that around 1 to 2 people out of every 100 people that go to a Shopify website will actually make a purchase. On the other hand, Amazon has around a 15% conversion rate, meaning that 15 out of every 100 people that go to Amazon actually buy a product. And people know that if you're selling a product on Amazon, that they can trust to buy your product because if there's an issue, they're easily going to be able to get back their money. And so I do recommend for you to create your online store, but it's a lot easier to make money if you're also selling your product on Amazon.com. And I created a free 8-hour step-by-step course showing you how to create your own Amazon business. You can click on this link down below. I'm going to show you how to find a product, how to list your product on Amazon, everything you need to know. Click on that video. It's completely free and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.